everybody, and welcome to Live with Cheryl. Let's remind y'all what our theme song sounds like.
Okay, there you go. Perfect.
Let's get back to the normal things here. Welcome, everybody. You just get a little snippet of it
Okay.
because I'm running a little en retard here. I'm a little late today, just trying to run around. I say there's so much stuff going on. Hi. Hey, Dr. Felicia. Hey, everybody out there. Thanks for joining us on Live with Cheryl. This is the spot where we do a whole bunch of stuff around updates with creative things, and we talk about health stuff, and we have a good old time, even if it's just a little short snippet of it, and then boom.
Got it.
So who we got here? How you doing? What's going on with you?
Oh my gosh, there is so much good. You talk about so much going on,
Yeah.
but it's all moving in a good direction. So I'm very excited about it. Still
I'm
can't talk about it too much in detail,
okay.
but I'm hoping at least by the end of the year I can say, and we did this, and we did this, and we did this, and we did this. So,
We'll be here. We'll be excited for you when it all comes together and you're ready to share. But I'm gonna go ahead and share my updates. Updates as I create is one of the features here. So for y'all who have not been here before, I do a lot of different things in my creative business and consulting business. And so I have this little updates as I create to let y'all know about how things are going. Some of what I've been doing has been a lot of fun though. So besides streaming here once a month on Live with Cheryl, my husband and my son Kai and I have this little YouTube channel where we mess about. And so we put a couple of videos up. YouTube is at Inspired by Kai and I. So y'all can check it out if you want to. It's some silliness and it's some fun. And I know my son has started to memorize his lines. He is very serious. So we'll talk, we'll just do fun stuff. And
mhm.
then he'll watch it back and then he'll memorize and he'll be like, okay, so this is it. And I'm like, the level of professionalism he has, I'm just like, he still wants to retain. He's like, if you need another take, I'm like,
That's
he
funny.
didn't say the take part, but he's just ready. He's stay ready, never get ready. He's just so y'all let me know what you think about some of that fun stuff. It literally is just because I want to keep my skills up for editing little things and playing around with video creativity for my own creating things that might be short films or other podcast related kinds of content. And so even when I don't have a lot of things I'm ready, like Dr. Felicia's not ready yet, I'm also sometimes not ready yet to let everything out, but I want to keep my skills up. So, we have to keep them fresh. And so the little one gets to dictate. And usually his favorite topic is dinosaurs. So if y'all are interested in dinosaurs, he likes to stay up on that. So anyway, that was one of the updates. There's a lot for me going on as well. I was just blessed to have a combination of AI and acting that I've been doing lately. So usually when I've been using some AI skills, a lot of us are trying to be aware of how AI affects our jobs and how we can use different AI interfaces to help ourselves not be obsolete, panic or just, hey, have it help productivity. Either way, it's here to stay and we're all trying to figure it out. So I've been blessed to be able to do some training of AI models using my PhD in chemistry and some of the background I have in leveraging that experience I had in different settings. So I have done that for like a year plus now. But the last thing I was really busy with was actually not voice cloning because I feel uncomfortable about really cloning my whole voice. I want to make sure I still have a place that I can be creative in the market and not put myself out of business in terms of voice acting. But this is getting these voice recognition kind of things to be able to do conversations. So getting them better at responding. So there might be a voice agent that we interact with when we rather have a live person, but frankly these companies, they can't all afford a live person. I'm not going to be on call, they can't afford me. So they're going to train the AI models to be able to hear all of our little accents and pick up on our little attitudes when I get these scripts about like frustration or excitement when some customer service thing has happened because they're trying to train these things, to get ready. Some of us get irate. you know
It's it's funny you mentioned that because I was on a website and the little automatic pop-up thing
yeah.
that's the AI person, but it was okay. Admittedly, I don't know, right? It was
Right.
like a video of a person going, pick this, do this. But I'm like, I didn't really look at it. Well, is that AI or is it a real person? I don't know. Because when I know what I want on the page, I ignore all that stuff. So I
Of
wasn't
course.
really looking at it.
Hmm.
But it was the first time I had not just seen the words. It actually had an
Yeah.
image
Yeah.
of some entity, let's
Right.
say, that wanted to help me.
And that frustrates, I think, a lot of us if we're actually wanting to know, is this real or not? And I think sometimes people are trying to train AI to be able to fool people, and so they're trying not to say and see if people speak up and say, oh, that's definitely robotic, or not. But I'm, for the most part, interacting with things and thinking about, like, as a professional, what do I feel comfortable giving away as my, or not giving away, but selling as my expertise that I don't think is going to put me out of future work. And there's a lot of stuff that I feel pretty comfortable with. I mean, conversations that these AI training projects have us engaging in, they feel like to me things that I usually am not being asked to do in my voice acting. So it's a whole different little spot, and that's maybe because I haven't done a lot of, like, training of a certain type. Like, if people are doing a lot of training scenarios where you're portraying real life kind of like corporate scenarios or workplace scenarios, then maybe this would be like you would get that gig and you could go act out a scenario. But I'm not booking those gigs. So I'm like, hey, I don't just go ahead and train these things to take that. But I was talking to a loved one of ours, and she was very adamant that she would much prefer to still have a person and not a phone tree or some automated whatever. I'm like, well, wouldn't we all? But if we don't want to pay extra rates to hire people at reasonable rates, because my rates are I want to make a living, then we have to suffer through through the automation, and hopefully the automation is better so we don't get shunted the wrong way and have our time wasted.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say, because I probably can guess who this loved one of ours
Yes, you
is.
can.
I will say that I think it depends on your comfort level
Yeah.
with it, because you kind of have to get to a rhythm with, even with an AI. It doesn't react exactly the same, but if you kind of know
Yeah.
how to get it to where you would need it to go to help
Yeah.
you, then it's fine. I don't think I
Exactly.
have a preference, but if I just kind of don't know what to ask to get what I need, then that's it's not going to help.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the tricky part. I think I was getting onboarded and getting a chance to do these things after getting an AI job interview a couple of times, different ones for these gigs. And I thought that was actually okay because they were recording the interaction so then other people could see it. And in the past, people wouldn't do that. Well, okay. In the era of virtual interviews, maybe they would, but I haven't been doing a huge amount of that because I moved to a business. And so I wasn't really getting these interviews and stuff for gigs. But anyway, so these are interviews for gigs that are sort of longer term, and they want you to be able to interact with, I guess, AI. And so they had us doing that. And I thought it was sort of fun, but you had to figure out, like you said, how to anticipate a lag so that the AI could process what you said. And this was for more of the AI using my STEM background, leveraging my PhD. And so these were like, ask questions about this and this. And you start going into chemistry, I don't know. So now I'll say, okay, well, I know this and this, but it could be that. And they'd be like, yeah, you're right. It is this. And so it'd be teaching me something. I'm like, okay, cool. That was nice. It was sort of like ready for what it was being asked to shepherd, because I wasn't expert in that. Now I wonder if it would be able to go very far if it happened to be that we were going to get like way in the weeds with something, because it just seemed like a regular interviewer where if they didn't know, they were just going, oh, thank you, that's very interesting, and then I mean, they were going to get themselves in trouble, because you know how it is if you're interviewing and you don't really have but so much that you can go back and forth with somebody on. You're not being interviewed, so you don't need to prove anything. You say, okay, thank you, all right, now next question. This person's very sharp. Love them already. I don't know half of what they're saying, but the stuff I know is right on, and this is great. You'll make a lot of good contributions. Next question. Here we go.
Yeah, I would love to know the back end of that so I can see if someone was looking at the engagement that you had,
Yeah, yeah,
but I'm wondering if they try to
yeah.
program the AI to make a decision.
I
Yay or
don't
no.
know about that yet, but I do know someone was looking because I was having a back and forth about, I think so. I mentioned the sort of STEM related stuff that went into chemistry for me, but I also had interview kind of stuff around more the acting. And so somebody was like, well, I liked your answers. I liked how you were talking about XYZ, because they were talking about like different issues that come up when you're voice acting. Like you can portray a lot of things, but maybe you decide you don't want to because you want to leave that to an authentic speaker of that accent representing that community. And so that came up. And I was talking about that, and they were like, "Oh, I especially liked your answer, blah 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 blah." And I was like, "Yeah, because I've been in that situation where my culture comes through my voice, and so I can't book like everything. But then I also don't want to jump on everything for all people of color because I'm not all of everything. I can't just do all your non-white voices because that's hashtag not inauthentic. It's not on voices, but it's still a bit tricky because I do want to work and have a vibrant business. But then if people explicitly ask, are you from there? Then I'm like, no, I am not. But if you just need the accent work, then I can give you the accent work, and I enjoy dutifully, listening to news broadcasts and, listening to people interviewed who have an authentic accent when they're talking about whatever, you just go and you enjoy the research updating you because you don't even usually go for an accent that you don't have some type of connection to. So you already have shows you like to watch where people come from that culture, or you have favorite actors that actually speak from that accent. You know how it is. There's a reason you can do it. It's because you've already been hearing it. So you're like, oh, I get to go back and listen to interviews with Blump, or I get to watch this show, and I haven't watched like a West African news channel in like a long time, whatever. Like I haven't, but it's sort of fun. Like really, like it puts me back in like decades ago traveling that area. But that's not my authentic accent. But still, if you don't want to pay for the authentic, if you want to just pay for pulling it off, then I could do that.
Listen, I think we've all heard some inauthentic,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, you have,
I mean,
you have,
that's one of
you
the
have.
things that kills me because we're
Yeah,
from the South and some
yeah,
people
yeah, yeah,
in the
yeah.
South. Excuse me, what is that?
Now that is hilarious because especially like we know from North Carolina, there's a specific thing here, and it's
Mhm.
not your
That's right.
Georgia. It's not Georgia.
Or
It's
Texas,
not. It's
or
not Texas is its own thing. I don't even
yeah,
audition for any Texas things. I can't
yeah,
do it. I know
yeah.
it's different, and it's too. It's so. It's sort of like it's not far enough away. Like if things are far, far away from my actual accent, then I can study it from a distance. But stuff that's like
Mhm,
too close like that, it's hard for me. So I can't
mhm.
even do that. Like you can get me to try to do a New York accent before I try to do a Texas one because it's so far
That's
different. It's like
interesting.
stands
Yeah,
out, and you sort of like, oh, what is that animal? And you sort of study it. But if it's like a
yeah.
close cousin, it's like, well, I don't know. Like,
That makes sense because you might fall into your
you
natural
fall
tone of
into
voice,
yeah, yeah,
pulls it
yeah.
away. Yeah, pulls it away from.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
me
that's
anyway. But I
interesting.
also don't feel
Uh-huh.
like I know a whole lot of people who have an authentic Texas accent who I listen to a lot. I think if we had
Mhm,
people growing up as like a friend or somebody, that'd be
mhm,
different. But so yeah, so I've been doing a big run with one of the projects I have. Some of them don't pay as well, so I've been sort of ignoring those ones. But the ones that pay better, I was doing like a lot with them recently, and I was enjoying it. There were lots of good acting challenges, asking for different emotions, like I was saying, like if you're irate on customer service, or if you're really like happy and relieved or whatever. But some of this stuff it's supposed to be conversational, but you still are asked to pull in certain emotions. And over again, they'll give you good backstory so you can get there. But if they're asking you to go to really like sad places, I'm like, I have to do an unwinding after this, even though it's just some AI training. It's like, well, this, 20 minutes of sad is 20 minutes of sad, y'all. You got to unwind and remind yourself. So when I had the ability to choose, I chose like all day, several days going of just happy. That's what I just chose. Just happy, 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 happy all the time, happy. And then at the end, I'm like, okay, cool. It was a lot of work, but I was happy all day, as opposed to angry, sad, fearful, especially the fearful ones. You get yourself in a certain state, and all of a sudden it's like, what was that? Is that my neighbor? Like, what's going on? Like, I'm freaking myself out. You hear that?
Yeah, that's an interesting one, but I guess I can pull if I know the techniques to sort of get my head, get
Oh,
myself
you
in the
could
right
definitely.
space.
They gave you a
Yeah.
backstory. They wouldn't just give you a
Oh,
paragraph
I
to,
see.
yeah, they
Okay.
give you a backstory. And so that was helpful because they were working with actors, I guess, and they sort of understood that a lot of us would prefer to have a reason, a motivation for what we're doing. Y'all know we've heard that so many times. It's cliche. What's my motivation? But it's good to have a backstory, especially because some of the things they were trying to do would be fitting certain corporate settings or fitting more personal settings, like regular life settings. And you're just going to come off very different in those. Like most of us code switch across our different areas of our lives, and we compartmentalize how we speak. And they want these things to be ready for that kind of stuff. So I wonder how people feel. And you tell me how you feel about this, Felicia, because I know some people are really pushing on AI as helping folks who are lonely and like having like sort of a social kind of component, not just to
Yeah.
advise you on different. I'm like, I feel creeped out by that, but I also know a lot of people are very lonely, and I can be working and sort of isolate myself in my business at home and have to
Hmm.
reach out to folk and make a point to, hey, is come on live with Cheryl, text people. Otherwise, sometimes just being on a screen and doing what we do for a living can be isolating. So I feel mixed about. What do you feel?
Um, I think I feel mixed, more away from it a little bit for a couple of reasons. I think one is if you have like you're slightly depressed or
Mm,
you're having a challenge with your real life engagements and you're leaning on that because you're having an issue of some sort,
mm-hmm,
I think that can lead you down a path that you may not be able to get out of it as easily because you are so isolated and you're isolated with something that's not going to help you out of it. It's just
mm,
responding to keep going down that path. Whereas a person that you're engaging with might say, hey, you might want to call someone or do, you know what I mean? So, and I just sort
mm-hmm,
of feel like if a healthy person was doing it and they have other relationships and there's just one other thing that they do for fun, that's probably
mm-hmm.
not no big deal. But if you're relying on it because you are lonely and you need the engagement, I think that might be problematic.
Yeah, I think I've heard some news stories about it being problematic, and I think
Yeah.
some things are super important. We don't really want to leave it to automation, but then I guess some people just feel desperate and like, if nobody else is picking up the phone, let me reach out to something. And I'm like, well, it's better to reach out to something that we all think is trustworthy. you know?
Yeah, well, as long as it is that, right? Because you would want to work with a version that's with a company that you trust or somebody that you trust,
Yeah,
right? So that
yeah,
the responses are legit, have
exactly.
some techniques in them to help you,
Yeah,
to do it in a healthy way that's not
exactly.
spiraling you out because
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't know how to get you to the next to get you out of you leading it down one path, for example. But
Exactly,
that can
exactly.
happen in real relationships too, right?
Mm-hmm.
um,
Exactly.
and I was so you've seen the VR goggles and everything,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that right? They had the games, and so I was helping someone to set theirs up,
Okay.
and the most recent version of this thing sort of sort of encouraged you to be where there are multiple players.
Okay.
So I was in there and I didn't realize what was happening.
Oh,
So
okay.
somebody else's avatar just came right up to me and started
Okay.
talking.
Okay.
And I was just talking to who was in the room with me, not realizing that person was so close to me so they could hear me. So I had no concept. Okay. But
Okay.
what I realized was you can really have some real engagements in these things. So in other words,
Yes.
it can be fun to do
Yeah.
those things. And even if there's an
Yeah.
AI on the other side of it, because that
Right.
was a not real world with a social engagement.
Right.
And it was in an environment that was supposed to be fun and all of that stuff. So I think as with almost everything, there can be positives and negatives. And I just would want people to sort of keep
Yeah.
themselves open to recognizing when it may not be doing you well. You may not,
Yeah.
it may be having a negative impact on you.
Yeah. It just feels like I know some people's intent is to have AI be able to help a lot of different people, but while things are still being trained and developed for targeted, really challenging circumstances, I think a
Yeah,
lot of us feel much more comfortable saying, not ready just yet.
right.
Let's have it develop more. But pretty exciting to think about getting a helping hand for some of those worthy kind of things, just helping people out who are struggling. That feels like a worthy thing to want to put some resources toward. But then how do we do it?
Hmm.
How do we do that?
Yeah, that's right. Because I don't see, because to me, it's like a mental health
Yeah,
support thing, in which case I wouldn't want to have a company where that's the only, somebody's got to be checking these things and validating it I wouldn't want it to be 100% run that way. It has to have some
absolutely.
people behind it to keep things in check and help make sure it really is
Absolutely.
doing what, doing good things still. Yeah.
Yeah,
So.
absolutely. So this has been a fun conversation. So let's see. I'm gonna pivot it away from some of the AI, even though there's lots of stuff that all of us are probably thinking about with this, since we all have some powerful tools. A lot of us, anyway, privileged enough to have powerful tools at our disposal. But so I mentioned connection to several different things. I don't think I mentioned with writing, so I was happy about this. Recently, have been inspired because I'm going and make it a point to do a little bit of networking online, go to certain webinars, and sort of hear from other people who are career changers into creative spaces. And I went to something run by the Humanitas organization, and they really do support for people who are new, but also people who are established in having substantive issues they broach in their screenwriting. Really important life kind of social big issues. And so they can bring together a lot of really great people at different stages of career. And so they were talking about career changers, and so many of the people just feel like they connected to me. Okay, somebody was in science, and somebody else was working around environmentalism, and somebody cared about supporting activists. And I'm like, yes, yes, yes. And, all these different people. And so I was just nodding and just feeling like, okay, I'm a part of this community of creatives who have had other careers that we then can bring into our art, and also can be a way that we are looked at as expert in something else. We can then be relied on for that within these art spaces. So that was really fun. But it also got me just pumped again about writing. And so I saw some things that I pitch on ISA, which is one of the organizations for, I think it's like International Songwriting, International Screenwriting Association or something like that. Anyway, ISA, networkisa.org, I think is their site. But I've been on there for a while, and I am able to, for not very much money each month that I join, send things out to people who are producers or managers, mostly I think producers, who are looking for people who are either already established and already WGA members, Writers Guild of America members, or who are not yet and want a shot. So I was on there and I thought, okay, some of the things I have, they're not quite right for these series pitches, but what if I took one of my movies and turned it into a pilot? So I was like able to do that, and I felt so proud of myself because I've done that before, but I wasn't aiming for that with this. It was just more organic, kind of like, oh, I think this would be really good, and I want to have a portfolio that has me reaching out to connections regularly. So I was just like, if I don't think there's something there, let me make something so there can be a pitch for me, So I was proud of myself. I was able to do that. I think yesterday I was able to do a little tweak here and there, and like use my resources about the differences between queuing something up for your beginning, middle, end in a movie versus a beginning, middle, end in a pilot that sets up the rest of your season. So you have to end it, but not really end it.
It's funny you mentioned pilots because I've been going back and watching shows that I watched like 10, 15 years ago on
Yeah.
CW, for
Yeah,
example.
yeah, yeah.
And it is so fascinating to watch the pilot again, knowing the whole arc of everything,
And
right?
they tease it.
And
They
then
tease it.
seeing some of it's like both. It's like, wow, they did these key elements in the very first episode and
Yeah.
kept it going versus, pivots and all that stuff. It's very interesting, especially because some of them are, yeah, 15 years ago, because if it lasted 10 seasons, it has a lot of episodes, which is why I like to watch some of them. But anyway, so it is fascinating to watch pilots when you know the ending.
Yes, it is. It's so fun. There's a lot of craft that goes in, and I really appreciate it. And like you said, if you've seen so much, you can appreciate the arc of these different characters, and people
Mhm,
want to dig into that with series writing. We really want to see people go on that longer journey that you can do across years of time. So it's
mhm.
exciting to think about that in terms of just reflecting more of life, that hopefully we're growing. Hopefully we're out here trying to learn. Hopefully. So rather than get into a whole lot more, we're going to wrap things up because we do have the health trivia part. We like to learn some things, but I just want to say, for those who are reaching out to me for collaboration and, hiring and stuff, keep reaching out. I am available for different things, including in music. I've been doing quite a few pitches and remixes and things of my art for licensing purposes. And I've been connected with some folks locally, going to local studios and getting some connections there. That's been really fun. Hey, Night Sound Studio. Hey, Chris. Thanks, y'all. Hey. um, so I'm going to, though, get us to our learning and growing thing. So I've been a busy bee, and I was recently feeling like very blessed. Don't want to say I'm not feeling fortunate, but maybe I need to like consider slowing it down and taking a little break. So if you need a little bit more breathing room, this is the trivia for today. Small actions that can really help you slow things down, take a little break sometimes, like blank with your notifications on your phone can give you more breathing room. Would that be turning off notifications? Like, I don't need to hear anything, I just need some break. Or turning them on. Maybe you want to just go ahead and connect and then get things out the way. What do y'all think would be the way to give yourself a bit more breathing room? Maybe I need more breathing room here so you can see me. But anyway, let's get you some music so y'all can figure out the answer to the trivia, and we'll look out for your response, and we'll play a little bit of music. We have an answer already from Tim D. Tim D says, maybe you're going to want to turn things off, he says. And that is correct, Tim D. That is totally right. Way to go. Way to go. So small actions to remove non-essential to-dos, like turning off notifications on your phone, can give you some more breathing room. I've been thinking about this. This is a resource from University of Washington Medicine. So from rightasrain.uwmedicine.org, they have something that's a little newsletter kind of thing there that they then post things up. I don't know if it's a newsletter, but they have a site where they're posting things up, and I guess they have regular content. Y'all check it out. So this is small stuff, because I was reading a lot on their Right as Rain site about taking breaks. They have a lot of great tips, but some of us just have to keep going because we have family responsibilities, things we have to do for our living, things we need to do for others. And sometimes they're talking about just set a timer and take a 60-second break. I think a lot of us could at least do that. And they were talking about that being beneficial. If you're able to actually take a break where you stop thinking about the to-dos, you stop, go, just 60 seconds, some meditation for a short time, something, sometimes we don't have the privilege to be able to really rest, like take a siesta, like go on a vacation. Sometimes that's associated with your economics, y'all, and sometimes it can be hard. But that resource that I was pointing to, the Right as Rain, that website, they have a lot of little tips that I think a lot of us can probably incorporate. Even little short breaks, even just turning the notifications off for a moment so you're not like in your face. Probably your boss or your subordinates can wait 60 seconds and not freak out, most likely. So probably you can go ahead and turn them off. As Tim said, turn them off. Then turn them back on later. Don't get fired, y'all, or don't have somebody else get fired because you can't keep them from going awry. Anyway, good job, Tim. So what do you want? Do you want to hear my choice of another original, or Tim, do you want to hear the theme song on the way out? And while you tell us that, notice that the next Live with Cheryl is going to be at 8:30 again. And I will try to be punctual this time, y'all. Many apologies. Yeah, we're already looking at September, y'all. September 4th at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. And that's going to be coming up in a month time. We usually do it on the first Thursdays, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, September 4th. And so, yeah, Tim, just let us know what you're thinking, sir, if you want to have a little bit of the theme song once again, or if you, my choice. Okay, thank you, Tim. So my choice. All right. So I'm going to wrap it up with the theme song because we were giving y'all just little snippets of it earlier. And thanks, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Felicia, for connecting with us. Maybe after Live with Cheryl, you could turn notifications off. Take a breath, y'all, and enjoy the rest of your evening. Take care of each other. Reach out to some reputable places to connect the ways that make you feel supported and not alone. And y'all, be well and take care. Bye.